Hey guys, it is Wednesday. Sorry, now that I'm off on medical leave, I forget what day of the week it is. So it's Wednesday, um, and you may or may not have read my Caring Bridge or seen a social media post. And so I just wanted to hop on here and answer some of the questions that people have, and to also give you an update on what's next. As of yesterday, I sort of got a sneak peek yesterday. Thank you to MyChart. I got a little alert on my phone, and that there was some results that were pending. Well, the only thing that was pending for me was my pathology report after my mastectomy. So I knew it had to be the pathology report, because even the labs that I had done pre my treatment today was done at Quest, and this wasn't a Quest MyChart thing. So I hopped on there yesterday, read the pathology report that talked about the lymph nodes and the breast tissue. They took 3 lymph nodes during my surgery and my breast tissue, and the initial look that they told AJ that day was that everything looked really good. It didn't appear to have any cancer in it. But to be on the safe side, they still had to send it to a pathologist. They slice it and dice it and make it all nice and small and look at it multiple times under the microscope, different samples, to make sure, right? Because that's going to guide the treatment from this point on. And so the report that I read said that all 3 lymph nodes were negative. And at the very bottom, it said no evidence of metastatic disease. So I pretty much knew that it was negative, right? But you still got to have your doctor tell you that it's quote unquote negative, right? So I had an appointment today for my Keytruda. Keytruda is an immunotherapy that they use for a variety of different types of cancer. I've learned more about it today than I ever have ever. Like, they can use it for lung cancer, they can use it for kidney cancer. It is limited in breast cancer, but for triple negative breast cancer, you can use Keytruda. And basically what immunotherapy does is it boosts your immune system. So it helps the immune system do what it does naturally. If you get the flu, your white blood cells start to fight the flu. And so basically that's what this does, is it makes your immune system start to fight the cancer. The other thing that it does, this is what I learned the other day at Dr. Ho's office, was that because now it recognizes that cancer as being abnormal in your body, if it were to come back, it immediately starts to attack it because it knows it doesn't belong there. So unlike that lump when I first had it, right? My body didn't know. It didn't know that it wasn't supposed to be there, so it allowed it to continue to grow. Now if my cancer were to come back, my body knows that that is not normal for it, and it will begin to attack it and hopefully keep it from growing really, really rapidly. So I had already had some doses of Keytruda along with my chemotherapy when I started this journey. And on July 13th, when I rang the bell, I saw Dr. G, my oncologist then, and she said, we're going to hold the Keytruda from this point on until after your mastectomy. Like, they needed to let my body heal itself, let my blood counts get back to normal, make sure my liver was healthy, all of my organs were healthy, and that my body was ready and prepped, because this is a major surgery. So we held it. And I knew at that time I was going to get more of it. You typically get it for a year, every 3 weeks. So today was my post-mastectomy appointment with Dr. G, and I was also going to get Keytruda. So I'm not going to lie, it was a really emotional drive to the office today. Really, really emotional, and I'll talk about that more in just a second. I think I cried pretty much the whole way there. I got in the room with the medical assistant and I started crying there. And it's very, very emotional. So shortly after that, Dr. G walks in and she and I have a great relationship. And here's the thing. Everyone's experiences are different. Even the breast cancer experience is different. So just because I may have breast cancer and maybe you get diagnosed with it, doesn't mean that we're going to get the same meds. It doesn't mean that we're going to get the same treatment. It doesn't mean that things are going to be exactly the same. And I'm going to use my friend Cece, for example, because I absolutely love her. She is my angel. Like, it could not have gotten through my first chemo without her. She inspires me every single day. And she's helped me to keep my faith through this whole experience. So I'm going to use her as an example because she's an incredibly, incredibly beautiful, special person. She also has triple negative breast cancer, right? So we have the same type of breast cancer, but our treatment is different because everybody's body does different things. And I've shared with you at the very beginning, triple negative is a very aggressive breast cancer. And as my doctors have said, it's very tricky because what they look for when they do the initial biopsy is they look for little receptors on the cancer cell. So they look for a progesterone receptor, they look for an estrogen receptor, and they look for a HER2 receptor. Because based on what those receptors are, they can direct your chemotherapy, your immunotherapy towards that. Triple negative means you don't have any of those receptors. So all of the extra things that they can do, you can't do with triple negative. So they basically throw the book at you and hope it sticks. And for some people it sticks. And for some, it's a really hard journey. It's a really, really hard journey. And so I went into this knowing that this, what we're doing may not work. I may have to do other things. But I tried to be open-minded, and I told myself at the very beginning, I was like, you are going to trust your medical team. You have to trust your medical team. I mean, I'm a nurse, but I'm a peds nurse, and I'm not a peds oncology nurse. I know nothing about this. So just because I'm a nurse, I am no different than any other person that comes in there. I don't know anything about this. This is totally new to me. And I feel like there are people that were put in my path, that they are put there for a reason. And so I had to trust what that path is. And let me explain that a little bit. So back in December, of 2022, we had gotten a Christmas card, and I always think it's really super special when you're on somebody's Christmas card list, because they spend the time writing you the card, and B, it seems like over the years, like the number of people that do Christmas cards has sort of dwindled, and I'm totally guilty of that. So we got a Christmas card from our friend Jill, who was AJ's. She hired him at the cancer center. And she's remained our friend over the years. And just she and Carl are like, I want to say, like, they're kind of like our surrogate mom and dad. Like, my mom and dad are far away. Mike and Barb are now in Idaho. We don't have a mom and dad here. And so whenever something bad is sort of gone on, like, I'm not kidding. Jill and Carl are like the first people that they just jump on it. Like when our AC went out, like Jill was the first one to message me and be like, girl, I got fans. Like, I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. You can come stay at our house if you need to, so we can make sure that you're taken care of. Like, just really, really good people. So we get their Christmas card, and I always really like the ones that kind of tell you about like what people are up to and what their families are up to. And so that her card talked about what they were up to for that last year. And at the very bottom, she had talked about how she had a new position working in Kings County. And I think it's at a breast center. And there was a reminder in there that said, basically, for all you women, like, make sure you get your mammogram. Well, I have faithfully, since I've turned 40, like, done my mammogram. Like, I'm proud of myself for that. Like, I did that. I'm not so good with other things, but that was one thing that I was really super faithful on. And so I was like, wow, that's really awesome. How she utilizes, like, her card, but to continue to share, like, the nursing message, right? Like, I do a lot of that with safety for children. And so in the back of my mind, I was like, that was great. Well, shortly after that, I was taking a shower one day, and as I was using my loofah, I, like, found this lump. And to be really truthful, I did not think it was anything. I wasn't even sure what it was. I came out of the shower. AJ was still in bed. We were getting ready to go to work. And I was like, feel this. Like, what does this feel like? And he's like, I don't know. It kind of feels like a lump, but it doesn't really feel like a lump. You probably should call the doctor. And if you know any nurse, we don't like to go to the doctor. Like, we're not really good at that. And so I was like, this doesn't, everything that I learned about breast cancer, it wasn't like that. Like, it wasn't painful. It totally moved. And hadn't been there for a while because, like, I just happened to find it that day. So I kind of put it off. And then a couple days later, AJ was like, hey, did you make that appointment with the doctor? And I was like, no. And so in a way, he kind of shamed me. Okay, he didn't. In a way, he did shame me. And so I made an appointment, and I'm grateful that he shamed me. So don't start giving him a hard time. And saw the partner of my primary doctor. She was on Christmas vacation. And he even said, he's like, I really don't think this is anything. He's like, it doesn't match anything. He's like, but we're going to order a diagnostic mammogram and an ultrasound. And at the end of that appointment, he gave me the names of a couple doctors that were surgeons. And he's like, I don't really think that you need this, but just in case, these are the ones that do this. And so I remember walking out of there telling AJ, I'm like, I think he thinks I have breast cancer. And I go, why else would he give us their names? And he was like, I don't know. So I went and had that done. And long story fast forward, like, on January 9th, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So when I found that lump, like, I hadn't even had the mammogram. I think the day of the diagnostic mammogram and the lump, I texted Jill. Remember I said Jill and Carl are like our surrogate mom and dad. And I remembered from her Christmas card about the mammogram, and I was like, Jill, like, I found a lump. And they sent me for a diagnostic mammogram and an ultrasound, and the ultrasound was abnormal. The lymph nodes looked abnormal. They want to do a biopsy. And immediately Jill, like, she was Jill. She gave me all kinds of ways to prepare for the biopsy, to know what to expect, to have the things on hand. And she started the process for me to that in the worst case scenario, that I would be connected with the people that I needed. So she had already reached out to the surgeon partner of my breast surgeon. She was like, what oncologist would you want to go to? And I was like, I know nothing about this. Who do you recommend? And she was like, Dr. Perkins. And so I was like, I trust you. This is like what you do. Like, I'm going to trust you. Well, turns out Dr. Perkins retired literally the week I got diagnosed. Sorry, my dogs are barking. So he retired. So I was assigned to Dr. G, who is his partner, and Dr. Adelijah, who is the surgeon partner of Dr. Ho. She had accepted me through Jill, but at the time she must have had a full schedule, and so they connected me with Dr. Ho. Okay, so that's the backstory of it. So you all know that I have gone through the chemo. I just had the mastectomy. And I don't know if I shared this story, but this tells you how special these people are. So first of all, let me share about the nurses at the cancer center. So I would imagine at any cancer, especially since I'm married to a nurse at a cancer center, that those people are angels. That they're angels. And I include all parts of the team. So like we had a fantastic pharmacist, Matthew, who I dearly love. We had and this is part of chemo brain, is that I forget people's names, but everybody the ladies that would assist him in putting the chemo together. And then we had Eric and Grace and Katie, and then we soon had Maria and Peter, who were the nurses. Peter, not Patrick, who I call not Patrick, who were the nurses there. And I'm telling you, I could not have gotten through this without them. Like they are angels. They truly are angels. And they became my friends. And I dearly, dearly adore them. And appreciate everything that they've done for me. Okay. So then I have Dr. G. And again, like, I know that not everybody's personality connects. And there are sometimes some people that you care for more than others, and others that you may not necessarily care for. I personally, I loved her. I love her. Like she was always very direct with me. Always felt that she answered my questions. And I always felt that she was there to support me, but she has a really freaking hard job. And coming from the nurse perspective, and I'm going to stop this so that I can make sure that I do this, that this can be a reel.